And we're live. Awesome.
Awesome.
Baller sauce. Okay. So, same old, same old. We'll get started. I've got the whole layout of the show. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Roger that.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Stop saying okay. It's making me nervous. Oh, wait, before we do start, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, and I sound okay?
Oh man, you sound so good.
Thanks. You're so sweet. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway.
So stupid.
Wow. Thanks. All right. Let's do this. Okay. All right. Hey, hi, hello, everybody, and welcome to Epic Rhythm and Brews. I am one of your co-hosts, Lainey.
Oh, and I'm Parker, the other one.
One day, I promise you will get better at that. So, welcome back if you're returning with us for episode 2. Thanks so much for
All two of you.
all two, literally all two of you. We're just screaming into the void over here, but that's okay because we enjoy every second of it. So, we're going to go ahead and get started with a little bit of what are we drinking tonight. And if I have been promised that one Andrew Parker has actually taken this shit seriously
For
and
once.
managed to procure himself a beverage. Go ahead, sir.
I am drinking. Well, I had a beverage last time, but an actual beer.
Yeah, like a real
Um,
beverage.
I am drinking Blue Moon, their cappuccino oatmeal stout for this very cold day.
How do you like that? Is it any good?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Really?
The cappuccino's pretty light, so it tastes like an oatmeal stout, kind of like my oatmeal stout I made, but with just like a little bit of cappuccino. Super
Oh,
good.
that sounds nice. That
Yeah,
sounds very pleasant.
it is. I'm a big fan.
All
Yeah.
right, well, not too shabby. You're a lot fancier than I am. I am drinking a
Yeah.
Dos Equis Amber because I got it for a white elephant party and it was free and taking up space in my fridge. So
That'll happen.
it's not bad. It just tastes like Dos Equis, but a tiny bit darker, like
No, I like the amber more than
than the regular. I do too, but I'm just like, okay, it's winter and this feels like summer, so whatever.
well, I mean it is the darker version, so I think you're good.
Yeah, like a fall beer, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the after the last show or during the last show, we assigned each other a little bit of homework. We each assigned each other an album that neither one of us would normally listen to, and we're going to go ahead and open up our show with that. So go ahead and lay out that homework you were supposed to do, Mr. Parker.
Oh, I go first. Okay.
Oh yes, you're going to go first. I've just decided right
So,
now.
I was supposed to listen to the album The Head and the Heart from the band The Head and the Heart.
Very good.
This is their first album, I'm assuming.
This is their first album.
Oh wow, ours kind of match because yours is first too. Um, so overall, um, I really like the vocals. The harmonies are really good. Um, I like the bluegrassy with the blues piano going throughout there is really nice. And I wrote this. It says, I said that if the Beatles were an indie folk band, this is what they would have sounded like, I think. And that is
Oh, no.
especially true for the last song.
Oh, for sure.
If the Beatles, and I said, if the Beatles made an indie folk song, period, I think that's a pretty much hands down what that would sound like.
That's a really insightful. I like that. I never thought about that.
Yeah, because I was listening to it, and the whole time I was like, man, I can't quite put my finger
Why
on
does it
this
sound
band. I was
so
like,
familiar?
it sounds familiar-ish, but I couldn't place it. And I was like, oh shit! If the Beatles were a indie folk band, I was like, this would be them. And then it all came to me on that last song. I really liked. I liked the second song, "Cats and
I
Dogs."
love that
The song
song.
was really really good. I was kind of like meh for the first song, and then the second song hit, and I was like, okay, I'll actually really give this, I'll really kind of listen and enjoy it. Um,
It's really good. I really love
yeah,
that song.
yeah, that second song is super good. The fifth song, Rivers and Roads.
Did you really like that one?
Yeah, her
Okay,
voice was
I didn't want to say anything.
insane.
That is my favorite song on that album, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and I love it,
Yeah.
and it's perfect. And I was really hoping you would like that one.
Yeah, it was really I think that was my favorite. Actually, that is my favorite song from that album. It's just her voice is just
It's beautiful.
how can
Charity
you not?
Thielen has a gorgeous voice.
Yeah, I'm glad the guy kind of took a step back so she could shine through, and it is really really good. Um, I liked how they did a lot of key changes.
Yep.
They mixed stuff up a lot. It was kept me interested and not just the same boring. You get a little bit of, and their drums and pianos were working really well for me. I was
They're
appreciating that.
really
They're
good musicians just in general. Like,
yes, and I was not expecting that because a lot of the other, I guess, lesser bands of this genre
mhm.
can't really play, and not at least not to this caliber. I mean, they're not
No.
bad musicians, generally, but this is definitely a step above, and I really, me, I really appreciate people who like to actually play their instrument well.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I loved that the drums and the piano was really cool. Um, I liked how everything, well, most of the vocals were really clean, and it wasn't layered through a bunch of distortion or fuzziness. That like some bands try to take it to where it's
No, they don't
very
try to.
clean. They're in the '60s with like really
Yeah,
bad quality or the lo-fi kind of quality to it. And I liked how it's crisp for the most part. The vocals, especially, are really clean. Everything's sent to the point. They're not trying to be something they're not. They're just trying to make really good music, and it comes across as genuine. And I
absolutely.
appreciate that instead of trying to be that lo-fi, shoegazy kind of we don't
Indie.
give a shit about the rare,
So you
whatever
mean
that kind
not like the Lumineers?
of yeah, basically.
That's what I tell people. The
Yeah.
Head and the Heart is like the Lumineers, but for people that actually like music.
Yeah, and it comes off as genuine, like they
Hmm.
actually like this type of music and they enjoy playing this type of music, and that goes a long way because you can feel that as they play it.
Hmm.
And so I like this album. For the most part, it was pretty good. Some of the songs got kind of tedious, and
Yes.
I guess tedious isn't right. I guess boring is probably a better word.
Yeah, there's a few on there that kind of feel like they drone
Yeah.
on for a little while.
But there's three good highlights in this album: second song, fifth song, and 10th song.
Heaven Go Easy on Me is a great song.
Yeah, yeah. Cats and Dogs was great. Rivers and Roads for sure. Really, really good. It sounds like a throwback song, like song from the '60s, and they
Exactly.
brought it back and changed it and made it their own.
It
And
sounds like Joni Mitchell wrote it a million years ago and it was just a
yes,
throwaway song for her and
yeah,
they
and they found it and
found
they're
it.
like, "Oh shit, this song's really good. Let's make it our
Yeah,
own."
that's legit what it sounds like. It's so good.
So yeah, that the Head and the Heart, pretty good. Uh, Definitely not my type of music, but I really
No,
appreciated it, and I will look more into the Head and the Heart to their other albums because if they can do this for their first album, that is, I mean, I think they could probably do even more stuff down the road. So I
I
will look
haven't
more into
loved their other two albums as much as I love this one, but I think that's just because I haven't been able to spend as much time with the other ones as I
them.
did with this one.
Did you like this
I
album a
spent,
lot right when you heard it?
yes,
Oh, okay,
I
fair
loved
enough.
this album as soon as I heard it. As soon as I found out who they were, I downloaded the whole thing and just listened because what little bits and pieces I was hearing everywhere else I really liked. And I was just really interested in this band with so many people in it and,
Yeah, and
making.
then it's like Slipknot. Don't they have like 9 people on stage or
They've
something?
got one, two, three, four, five, six people.
Six.
Right
Okay.
now, I think Josiah isn't touring with them,
How do their
but
other albums differ from this?
almost like a little bit more produced. You can tell that maybe they've gotten like another professional in there.
They got money.
Yeah, they got a little bit more money. So just a little different. Some of the songs are a little different, but I like that they're still not writing stuff that like is made for like radio. Like you can tell that they're still really putting a lot of effort into their songwriting um and their instruments and everything. Like it's not
They're not calling it in,
no, they're definitely not
or
phoning
like
it in.
phoning it
So,
in. Yeah, the
which is
same.
really nice. So, but yeah, I love it. It's really, really good. Just
Cool.
very,
So
very
yeah,
well.
that is my take on The Head and the Heart by The Head and the Heart.
Well done. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it wasn't like excruciating for you to listen to.
No, yeah, it wasn't like bamboo shoots under the fingernails or anything.
Okay. Phew. Good. So,
All right, your turn.
all right. So I was assigned the actually you keep saying it's their debut album. It's actually their second album.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I told you that, and then um, yeah, I was mistaken.
Yeah, Francis the Mute by the Mars Volta. It is their second
Yes.
album, their second studio album. And I will say this is 100% not really the kind of music that I'm super, super into because it's very progressive and very like experimental. But it had some like psychedelic aspects of it that I really, really liked. Um, I when after Parker told me about it, I went and looked it up and I was like, hey friend, there's only like 5 songs on this album and they're all like 45 minutes long.
Yep, pretty much.
And so I as soon as I saw that, I won't lie, I was a little hesitant. It made me very nervous to dive into an album like this. But I was pleasantly surprised that I actually really, really enjoyed it.
There you go.
Like I said, definitely not my cup of tea normally, but I really appreciate, again, this is a band that definitely knows what they're doing as far as playing their instruments. Um, they the layers of sound that they put on this album are really, really incredible. And I looked it up and it was actually produced by the guitarist,
Yeah,
which I
they
thought was really cool. I like that they're that hands-on. I think that that says a lot about a band when they're that, because I think a good producer can do a lot and can help a lot, but I think it says a lot about a band who is this complicated
Mhm.
to produce their own album.
Well, it's actually pretty much the guitar player and the singer. They write all of them. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure 90% of all of the music that's written and for all the parts and all the vocals and all the production is done by the guitar player and the singer. So they basically it's like 9 Inch Nails basically. Like it's one guy is doing everything basically. It's just the two of them.
Right.
So they're like yeah, kind of like a one-stop shop for everything in the band. So that's kind of crazy.
That's insane. Like that's crazy to me. But I like bands like that though. I like bands that are very like multi-talented and stuff and like put all this extra effort to it. Um but it's interesting, like every song is very, very, very layered. Everything has like a wall of sound, so to speak, on it, which is really incredible. I gravitated towards the second half of the album more than anything.
Hmm.
The first like 3 songs, like I enjoyed, but not nearly as much as I enjoyed the last 2. The only issue I had with the second half of the album was the fact that on Miranda, Those Ghosts Just Aren't Holy, there is literally, I timed it, 4 minutes of ambient sound.
Yeah, well, I think it's birds or something in the
Yeah.
background. Yeah,
And then it's just like a drone and it's a lot. I
but
don't,
if you can get past that,
and
you're
I did,
good.
and I
Yeah.
did. I did
Uh-huh.
it was a lot. But and when I looked up like the track listing and stuff, and because when I was listening to it, I was like, it sounds like there's like different tracks, but there's like movements within each track,
Hmm.
and there are. So I am not a total dum dum. Apparently, I managed to figure that out.
Good job.
So thank you. So, but just like a very, very complicated album, but really, really good. Like, and the vocals weren't bad either. I like a band with really, really good vocals. And you can tell that these guys can actually sing, which is really, really nice. But very cool, very different, but very well produced, very well put together. I was very impressed by what I heard. So I really, truly didn't really know what to expect. because Mars Volta has always been a little too like, all right, I like music, but I don't know if I like music that much. So,
Right.
but I did. I actually really enjoyed it, and I would like to maybe dip my toe into a little bit more,
Oh, nice.
but that is definitely going to be on your recommendation because,
Right.
girl, I can't wade through that much ambient sound all the time. That was a lot. So I did tell Parker actually a couple of weeks ago that when I was listening to it, parts of like the first half of the album, and it took him a second to figure out what I was talking about, almost sounded kind of like uh System of a Downish. And he just looked at me like I was like telling him to break his own arm or something. But I was trying to explain it like the timbre of the guy's voice, I guess.
Yeah,
And something about like
I could see
it
that.
doesn't sound like it. Like it definitely doesn't sound anything like System of a Down. Thank
But
God.
it's
Like
within the same
it
vein.
it gave me the
Yeah.
same like I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So, but no, like I said, overall, it's a really, really good album. It's really interesting. I like an album that kind of makes you paint a picture in your head, and that's 100% what this does. So, very, very cool. I liked it. Not too shabby, not at all.
Wow.
So, are
I'm
you
a little surprised that you liked it this much. I was thinking like best case scenario, you'd be like, yeah, I could see the merit. I kind of see why someone would like it, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I appreciate some stuff, but I didn't think you would actually like it and want to listen to more. So that's
I would
cool.
like to just kind of see where they go as musicians. You know, they have a
Uh-huh.
lot of studio albums. So
Yeah.
I would like to kind of see this is their second album.
Yes.
I'd be
Yeah.
very interested to see kind of where they grow as a band.
Yeah, I told you this was kind of definitely more their spacey, well, not spacey, but more their ambient album.
Very.
Yeah, their first one, Deloused in the Comatorium, is not quite as spacey,
Okay.
and their the one after the next couple after this album is definitely more straightforward, progressive, psychedelic rock.
Yeah, this was very much like a cosmic rock kind of a thing.
Yes, well, yeah, this one was also, it's a had a story behind it and the whole deal, so which kind of makes
Yeah, and
sense.
I didn't look that up until afterwards because I kind of wanted to just like follow it in my head first.
Was it what you thought it was?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
So, not at all,
Yeah.
but like I said, I did. I actually enjoyed it. I was surprised that I enjoyed it, but not something that I'm gonna like reach for like on like a Saturday afternoon. But you know, this would be a
Yeah, it's
this
pretty
would be a
specific.
yeah, this would be a really good thing to like revisit on like a long road trip or something.
I listen to these guys on road trips.
Let's see, there you go. Great minds.
Mhm.
Very cool. Well, now that we've kind of finished our homework, I guess we can kind of move into our topic for the evening. So since we're still, you know, kind of dipping our toes, so to speak, and getting used to this whole podcast thing and kind of shut up and kind of introducing us to our listeners, we kind of figured that the best thing to do next would maybe share with you guys what some of our favorite albums are. This was definitely not an easy thing for me. I feel like my favorite albums change like monthly, you know.
Well,
So
even your top 3 favorite albums of all time change a lot?
the third one can kind of interchange sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, I had to really sit and really, really think about it.
Hmm.
So, and it was tough, but I'm pretty happy with my three for now. I'm sure I'll come on like next week and be like, actually, my third favorite is this, but blah, 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 blah,
That could be an ongoing
blah.
segment. What
Yeah,
is your third favorite of the month?
what's Lainey's like third favorite album now?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So pretty much it changes a lot, but I'm actually kind of excited about it. I think I actually don't know what Parker's favorite top three albums are, so I would be really
I think you. You won't be surprised when I tell you. I don't think.
I'm sure I won't be surprised, but I'm
Yeah.
interested to find out. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So, Parker, do you want to go first, or would you like for me to go first?
Sure. I'll go first.
And are you, I'm not really doing mine in any specific order,
I'm listing mine one, two, and three.
like number one favorite album of all time,
Yes.
and then two, and then three.
Yes.
Okay,
But you don't. I mean, that's just how I'm gonna do it.
that's fine. Go for it.
Um. So I'll be the 4 millionth person to say this, but my favorite album of all time is Dark Side of the Moon. I
Mm,
just
Not
it's just
surprised.
really, really well done album. It flows together as an album. It's meant to be listened all the way through as an album. Um, I don't know. It changed the game for music. It's Pink Floyd. They're one of my favorite bands. It's their best album. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say that hasn't already been said a billion times by every other music person in the world.
So what is it about it that you like so much? Like what gives it that like special spot in your list?
Well, all my, well, I guess two of my albums, are really kind of meant to be listened to as an album, especially Dark Side of the Moon. That was, I guess is kind of more of a way that albums used to be made, where they were meant to be listened in their entirety. You sit down for an hour or whatever, and you listen to an album. So all the songs, blend into each other. It's kind of hard to tell where one stops and one ends. Um, they fit together really well. Um, and especially the A side, the end of the A side is kind of comes off and goes off with a bang with really high that female vocals coming through, really that wailing vocals coming in at the end, and then there's a cut, and then you go over to the B side, and it starts off with Money, which kind of is a hard start to the second side of the album, and it's a totally different animal on the other side. Um, I don't know. This just it was psychedelic rock, hard rock at its finest back in the day. You know, the vocals are amazing. The the spacey kind of psychedelicness is really cool, which I gravitate to a lot.
That you do.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just really, really good. It's well done, and it's long enough, but it's not too long. It doesn't get bogged down on itself. There's not a lot of so it does kind of get lost, kind of like Francis Mute kind of wanders a little bit, and it
Yeah, it
doesn't
goes
get.
a little off the path every now and then.
Yeah, which is a good departure from some of Pink Floyd's earlier stuff, like Saucer Full of Secrets,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It gets a little too psychedelic for me, and I can't really get into that. But this was a departure from when they got a new when Sid Barrett, their previous songwriter, kind of had a mental breakdown and left the band. This was their kind of new sound that they were going for, and I really like that. Um, so yeah, that's my number one, and that has never changed since probably since I heard it
I
when
love
I
that. I
was a kid.
remember my dad has told me before, like he remembers when this album came out and like how just different it was from everything else that was coming out. And he made a really good point about how like everybody was almost kind of trying to like make something totally different, but still kind of one up each other.
Hmm.
It's just really, really, I don't know. It's really cool, I guess, because of all of like the different technological advances they were making in just like studio equipment.
Yeah, yeah. There's
Just made,
a lot of effects on tape that they were doing,
yeah.
which is like the helicopters coming over in the song "On the Run."
Hmm.
They're doing all this crazy effects with early synthesizer work. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but that's actually that's a good. I won't begrudge you that. Like I said, Pink Floyd's not really my jam, but I can absolutely respect that album as an album, and that band in general. So, I'm
Well,
not
good.
one of those assholes who's just like, no, it fucking sucks. No, that's not.
Yeah. But I'm just super boring because everyone says that. But yeah,
That's not
that's
true.
uh. Anyway, Elaney, I'm sorry, Elaine. What is your next one?
So I am gonna go ahead and go with, I guess, what my top album of all time would be. And I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I feel kind of like, oh, of course everybody likes this album. But I'm actually gonna go with Led Zeppelin 1.
Oh, snap.
So I love that album.
That's a
I
good one.
remember listening to that album. It was not my first Led Zeppelin album.
What was your first?
So.
Really?
Four
Okay.
was my first one because my dad, I remember, had the like like complete recordings or whatever, like a box set.
Mhm.
And like in the box set, when you opened it, there was like little like they looked like little mini like hardback books. And when you pulled them out, one side had the cover art for one album and the other side had the cover art for another album. And they
Right.
were put in there like chronologically, but I was just like picking them out and looking at like different um covers.
And the exploding blimp didn't do it for you?
Well, it's not that it didn't do it for me. It's just that the fourth, like four, I was like, oh, okay. And then I opened that one and I just put that one in first.
Right.
And I'm kind of glad that I did because I mean, it did a lot for me. But
Right.
it really did. So, but I loved it. But I decided when I after I listened to four obviously and was like, oh wow, I actually really, really like this band. I decided I should probably like start from the beginning. That would make more sense. And so I did, and lo and behold, like I love this album. I love the fact that like this was their like start to everything. You know what I mean? Like I just think it's really incredible like that this is the first thing that they put out.
Well, and I mean, like you said, we were talking about Pink Floyd. They were kind of the birth of psychedelic rock, and Led Zeppelin was the birth of hard rock. You
Yeah,
know, I
very hard
mean,
rock.
yeah,
Well, and I like that there's so much like there was the thing that really drew me in when I was listening to this album was like there's so much like there's such a like bluesy undertone to it. It's not even an undertone because it's like right out there like
I say,
for everyone to hear. But I just like I remember like listening to Babe I'm Gonna Leave You for the first time and just being like this is literally like nothing I have ever heard ever before ever.
right?
So it was pretty amazing. I loved it, and it was I remember keeping it in my like little portable CD player for forever and like never wanting to take it out.
Right.
So, but it was just, oh, it's so good, and it's stayed my favorite. I love Your Time Is Gonna Come. I love that as like the second side. This is an album that I don't think really has a lot of uh transitions, but I
No,
don't.
this is a very this is a album with just full of songs.
Yeah. But I liked that back then. I don't know why. I liked it on this album, and I thought that I liked the fact that it didn't sound a lot at the time, a lot of the stuff that was coming out that was really popular, all the songs kind of sounded the same.
Yes.
And this wasn't like that.
Yeah, these all these songs are very different from each other.
Absolutely. So it just and it was I think that's kind of what drew me in is I was like, wow, this one band can do all of this different stuff. Like that is amazing. I need to know so much more. And that kind of started me listening to every single thing that they ever recorded within a summer. So
Yeah.
but that was kind of my four was my gateway, but one was what kind of hooked me. So that's always going to be one of my favorite albums. It has a lot of my favorite songs on it, and it's just so good.
Yeah, it is.
That's another one of those two that I can just like throw on and like listen to all the way through and be perfectly satisfied.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I do. I love it. But again, I mean, that's what people when people ask me what my favorite Led Zeppelin album is. I mean, that changes all the time, but one is always going to be on my list of favorite albums for sure.
Right.
Well, I'm just impossible, and I can't ever make up my mind, and it does like it just changes daily.
And that's okay.
Exactly. So, all right, hit me with your second one.
Well, I'm gonna be super boring. I mean, Led Zeppelin 1 is my second favorite album.
Is it really?
Yeah, it really is. I didn't like that you said that it
I'm
was your
sorry.
um yeah. So I don't yeah, it's just a really good album. That is my second favorite album, and that was the first album that I heard from them.
Really? Oh, you're better than me. You've actually started at the beginning.
Yeah, that was my dad had several Led Zeppelin albums, and that was the and I was kind of late to the game with Zeppelin. I didn't really hear Zeppelin until I was in junior high, or
Me
like
neither.
really get into Led Zeppelin until I was in junior high. Um, but I remember listening to that, and it was like, oh wow, this is super duper good. And I listened to it 400 times, and then I listened to all their other stuff, and I was like, man, all these other ones are really good. That's close second for me would have to be physical graffiti, which I know is kind of cheating because it's a double album.
No.
But some of my favorite songs um, are on there. But I think one is just better. It's just a better album. It was I don't know. It's just really good.
It's a good album.
Yeah, it's just a solid album. There's no bad songs. There's no parts of a song that I don't like. The only thing I can criticize is that there's parts in the songs that I wish were 5 minutes longer. You
Right.
know, like why are these songs so short? But none of them are short though. They're all at
No.
least like what 4.5, five
Four and a
minutes
half,
long,
5 minutes. Yeah, for
and
sure.
I wish they were all 10 minutes long. You know, so yeah, that's my number two.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
no, no. So what is your second favorite album?
So, my second favorite album is, and I feel like I feel, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I get judged for this a lot.
Maybe.
And I don't really appreciate that because I know you know what I'm about to say, and I can
Actually, I
kind of feel
don't.
your judgment.
I
Oh,
don't.
well,
I
I
have
was
no
gonna
idea.
say, like, I kind of feel like you're judging me right now, and I don't really like it. So, um, before I come out with my pick, let me just say that this artist and I have had a very tumultuous relationship. I do not agree with a lot of the decisions that he has made in the last 5 years. However, in 2006, John Mayer came out with
Oh,
Continuum, and I love this album. I love this album. I have spent so much time with this album. I remember hearing it in high school, and I remember driving around in my car listening to it all the time. And just dying over it. Like it is so well done. It is so beautifully made, and it's just got so many really great songs on there, and the guitar is beautiful. This is when I really truly feel like John Mayer was doing his best music. This was an album where you can really hear what he's capable of, because the man just the way that, like, say what you will about him, but like the way that he plays guitar is incredible. Like he is self-taught. He is I truly think he's one of the greatest guitarists of our generation. I really do. He's just incredible, and the stuff that he can do is amazing. And I felt like on this album he really let himself pour that in there. You know, the previous things that he had come out with were all very like, they were very much like kind of in that same vein of like the Jack Johnsons and stuff of the world, which there's nothing wrong with Jack Johnson. I like Jack Johnson too, but
yeah. You watch your mouth,
I'm
Jack
John.
Johnson.
You can calm down. But you know, it's like he came out with it. Your Body is a Wonderland. Like that was his first thing, and like this was just such a huge leap from that. You know, the stuff on this album, there were things on there from, I mean, subject matter that ranges from like religion to like watching your parents grow older and like what is it like to grow up and be afraid of that, and like just so much of what he was dealing with at the time like went into this, and you can really see it. Him and a really good friend of his, Steve Jordan, who actually did the John Mayer Trio with him, which is also a really good album, you should check it out, handled a lot of the production in it too. And you can like, something about this album, like when you really listen to it and like really like hang out with it for a while, you can like hear all that painstaking like time and effort that went into making it. And it's so beautiful. Like I love this. And the thing about this album, it just recently had its 10-year anniversary. And the thing that I really noticed about it is this is one of those albums that I remember listening to when I was in high school in a totally different place in my life, mentally, emotionally, you know, and listening to it now 10 years later at 26 as opposed to 16, like it still feels new to me, but at the same time feels like something really comfortable. Like it has a totally different meaning to me now than it did then, but I think that that really speaks to the piece of like living, breathing art that it is. I think that that is a testament to really good songwriting. I think that that's a testament to a really great musician. I really do. I think that this is the best thing that he ever put out, and I don't think he has ever come close to it ever again. And I think that that kills him, and it should drive him to do better. But I've hated everything else he's come out with since this album.
What album number is this for him? Like
This
how
I
far?
believe is his third, because he had Room for Square. Let's see. He had Room for Squares, and oh, I guess he had Inside Wants Out too. Whatever. Nobody remembers that album. So I guess it was his fourth album. So yeah, he had Inside Wants Out, Room for Squares, Heavier Things, which a lot of people really like Heavier Things.
And
And
how
it's
far is
not
this
bad.
into? How many more has he come out after this?
Oh, so many. Let's see. He has come out with, all right, Mr. John. Let's see. Like it's been so many and I've hated all of them. I've like lost count. I just need I need I need better.
You just want him to be better, huh?
I want him to be better. I've had to break up with him so many times. And it just makes me really sad. He's
Oh,
just so he's just capable of better. So he's come out with, oh, I guess he hasn't come out with, he's come out with three more since then. He had, after Continuum, he did Battle Studies, which wasn't bad. Battle Studies sounded almost like a more grown up, heavier things. And then Born and Raised, which sucked. And then Paradise Valley, which sucked slightly less than Born and Raised, but not that much. So
so
Paradise Valley at least had another artist on there that I liked. So
are you nervous or looking forward to this new album?
I am not excited at all.
Oh wow.
No, because I heard one of the singles off of it. Granted, sometimes he'll put out a single that sounds nothing like the rest of the album. And like he posts a lot of stuff like on his Instagram and on like Snapchat and stuff of like working in the studio, and the things that I hear him working on sound great. But he did the same thing before Paradise Valley, and I hated Paradise Valley. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and that's his thing is he's like, I'm going to release 4 songs every month and blah, 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 because there were just too many to put together like on one album. And I'm not crazy about when people try to do crazy concept stuff like this.
Yeah. I
It
mean, what is
feels,
he, Beyonce?
well, exactly. That's the thing is Beyonce does it, and Beyonce does it really well,
Right.
because she's just like, I'm not going to tell any of you fools about this. And then bam, album, all the videos ready to go, packaged up in a nice, pretty little bow for you.
Uh-huh.
But this isn't John Mayer's game, and I don't know what he thinks he's doing. So
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get another beer. So
okay.
just top.
But yeah, so I don't know. We're gonna see, but I needed to do better. Something about the sound on that one album was just so much better than anything else that he's come out with. Even
Okay.
I don't know. Paradise Valley felt, Born and Raised and Paradise Valley both felt a little bit like he was trying to be Neil Young. And I remember
Every
how
time every time you say Paradise Valley, I just think of Paradise City.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Every time.
But I remember having this conversation too with one of my. I have a cousin who loves John Mayer because of me. You're welcome, David. And
We both know he's not going to listen to this.
no, he might because he'll be in the car with Molly. But but yeah, I remember having a conversation with him when Born and Raised came out. And I was like, I don't need him to try and be Neil Young. He was like, what's wrong with that? And I was like, I already have a Neil Young. His name
His
is
name
Neil
is Neil
Young.
Young. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, I don't need that from another artist, especially one who does not do it as well as Neil Young does. So we'll see. I don't know. I need him to not make music like a 35-year-old. I need him to make music like he did when he was my age. Because that's what he's doing. So anyway, hey Parker, would you like to go ahead and give me your third album
Sure.
to get
My
me off this
third.
train?
Yeah, no kidding. My third album is In Rainbows.
Knew
Yes, by Radiohead. Um, it's a it's their best album. It kind of if anyone likes or knows much about Radiohead, some of their earlier stuff is eclectic. I guess is a good way to say it.
Yes.
Um, but I think this is In Rainbows was kind of the final culmination of what they were trying to do in all those other albums, but they did it completely right in every single song on this album. Every song is great. All the songs are different from each other, but they all kind of go together in a way, and it's just what all of their albums I think were trying to be, and they did it, and they did it right. And yeah, it makes when I heard this album, I went back and listened to their other previous albums like OK Go, or OK Computer,
I was like, okay, go is not the
yeah,
same thing.
Kid A, um, Hail of the Thief, and I was like, man, these albums aren't as good anymore. Like this In Rainbows kind of made me not like their other albums as much, which I thought was really weird.
I think that that's a sign of a great album, though.
Well, I was yeah, because I would listen to them. I was like, man, this song could be better if they would have just did what they did in Rainbow. Like if they would have changed this or they would have done this instead of gotten so spacey, which they tended to do a lot. Or they just like they missed the mark because I mean they're still good songs. Don't get me wrong. I mean I still like a lot of their older stuff, but now after listening to In Rainbows, running back and listening to, it, I was like, man, they just missed the mark when I didn't know that they missed the mark before. You know? I guess if
Right.
that makes sense. Oh, it's kind of weird.
No, I mean, if an artist that you love, like, you didn't know they were growing and then you see how far they've come, like, I get that.
Yeah, yeah, it's just so good. Um, yeah, and then the album that they did after that, King of Limbs, was kind of like they continued on from In Rainbows, but in the wrong direction. Like they kept going, but they went too far,
Hmm.
and they just totally missed the mark. And I couldn't stand that album at all, which was kind of sad because I had such high hopes after In Rainbows. Um, but yeah, so that's my third favorite album, and that has been my third favorite probably since In Rainbows came out in high school.
It's an album that I really want to spend time with.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Going back and listening to it again and again, you can appreciate the little things that you didn't catch before.
I love
It's
that.
like watching a really good movie and then going back and knowing like, oh man, I know this scene or this part of the movie is really good, and then you catch some other little tiny aspect, you're like, oh man, that's even makes it even better. And it's fun to listen to, it's relaxing, but it's not dull or boring. It's just so good. I highly recommend if anyone doesn't like Radiohead, which I know a lot of people can't stand him, aka the lead singer.
Tom York.
Yeah, crazy
He's all
man
right.
himself.
He's
Um,
fine.
but yeah, if you haven't gotten into them or listened to stuff and you don't like, I would highly recommend this album. And this might change your mind, or you might just like this album. I think for most people, this would probably be the album to listen to by Radiohead. Absolutely.
I've listened to it. It is a really good album. It's just one of those albums that I do. I think you need to spend time with it. I think it's not a one and done. It's a go back and listen to and really, really focus on it and take it in.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to this album for sure.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and it's not a wall of sound either. It's kind of the opposite, I guess, of Francis the Mute. It's not a wall of sound. It's very reserved and laid back, but it's very full of depth,
Yes.
which
I like
is,
that.
yeah, oxymoron, but it is
No, but
super
that
good.
can be a very like audio like, pleasing thing. So I like
Oh,
it.
and it's pleasing, all right.
There you go.
So, your number three.
So my number three, Parker and I were discussing this earlier in the show, that it's very hard for me to come up with my third one.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. What is your third favorite right now?
I think this might just genuinely be my third favorite album. But my third album is actually going to be Channel Orange, which was Frank Ocean's debut album.
I have never heard of that until this moment.
I I love this album. This is a just oh, it's such a good album. Like, I mean, especially considering the fact that this wasn't the first thing he ever recorded, obviously. But this is his debut like studio album. That's amazing, you know? He is this like I mean, he's our age and he put this thing out and it's beautiful. It's really, really well done. Um it's so different and out there, especially for an R&B album. Like he takes so many interesting like influences from so many different aspects of different like there's a little bit of funk in there, there's some soul in there, there's, just some really, really beautiful guitar in it. Like
Come.
he does so many different things. It's just it's so good. And just like this is an album that is meant to be listened to as an album. This is not a I know everybody like went ape shit for thinking about you, and that's a great song, but this is not a like pick out your favorite little singles album. This is a full-fledged like experience album. Like it's so well done. Like there's like the segues in it are almost kind of cinematic, and he'll use ambient sounds but in a very like reserved way that really suits kind of the story that he's telling you. His songwriting is incredible. The production on it is really, really beautiful. Just the different kinds of music that he pulls from, the man really knows when it's time to use like strings on a song and when it's not. And, just, God, it's just so good. Like, I really do. I love this album. And every time I listen to it, like, I find something else that I like. And, just listening to the whole thing all the way through, like, it's interesting to kind of hear the story. And, I he recently that was the thing is he came out with this and it was so well received that he didn't come out with anything else for like 4 years and like
Was
took
his
a
new album good?
Blonde. I liked Blonde a lot. I didn't like it as much as I liked Channel Orange.
Okay. I couldn't tell you a Frank
I know,
Ocean song.
I know, but
So yeah.
like I said, I liked Blonde, but I didn't like Blonde as much as nearly as much as I like Channel Orange. I think it's a good album, but I don't like it as much as Channel Orange. It's just so good. Like he's
Would I
got
like Frank Ocean?
I think you would. I
Can you
think
give me like a couple songs to listen to
I
like?
can later on. I we'll get there.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
is that one of the albums you're gonna tell me to
I don't
listen to?
know. I don't know. It might be.
So you just answered my question. Thank you.
Shut up. So, but no, it's a really good album though. It's just so beautiful and like it's so funny the way that he writes songs, like he pulls from literally everything. He talks about like Dragon Ball Z. Like the man is insane.
What? That's
And he's
awesome.
a big old nerd and I love that. Like he's just Frank Ocean is I think what Drake wants to be.
Oh, really?
He's very inventive and he's very skilled at what he does and he's very sensitive and
Oh,
you
that is Drake.
exactly. But like he's sensitive in a way where like you don't want to make a meme about him and make fun of him. Like you just genuinely like feel for him, you know? And he's very much like transparent as an artist. And I love that. In fact, there was a lot of controversy about this album because he talks about, in one of the songs, he's referencing like a love interest and he's talking about a guy and obviously like in the hip hop R&B community like that's not an acceptable thing, but he talked about it and he put up like he released like an open letter and basically talked about like listen, like that was my first love and you know this album is what it is and this was something that I felt like I needed to put on there and it's not something I'm ashamed of. You know, I'm very open about this kind of thing, this that and the other, and I really appreciated him really bearing himself on this album. It's so good. It's definitely like an experience to listen to it. So,
Nice.
but yeah, such a good album for sure. But yeah. Also, there's Hidden John Mayer on it, and it's really fun when you find it. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
secret surprise.
Secret surprise. In fact, I will never forget when I listened to it and I caught it, and I was like, oh, I know that anywhere. I can
Okay, be
spot that
honest.
man. What?
Is that a reason why it's
No, I loved this album before I realized that.
okay.
No, that had nothing to do with it for me. Well, he is featured on it, and I knew that they were friends, but like the song that he's featured on, I'm kind of lukewarm about. But
Mhm.
when I heard him, like he is like uncredited on a song.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
when I heard it, I loved it. And I was like, oh, I know exactly where it is. I know who that is. I know exactly who that is. I can spot it anywhere. I know it. So, but yeah, it's interesting. But he has a lot of like really random collaborations on there that you just like kind of hear like Tyler the Creator is on there for a second. Like, oh, it's just so good. So,
Right.
but yeah, love it. I love it. Oh, and he samples like a Marvin Gaye song. I love this album. It's a great album. You should go listen to it if you haven't ever heard it before. So, oh, so good. Sorry, now I'm just thinking about how much I love this album. So, anyway, so that's gonna kind of wrap up our topic for the evening. So we'll go ahead
Yes.
and move on to our delightful little skip or play section.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, 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 wow. So, Parker, is there anything that you've been really liking or really not liking this last couple of weeks?
Actually, my thing has completely changed from about 11:30 this morning. Completely changed what I was going to do. Um,
Oh, ooh,
so mine is going to be a skip for this
go
time.
for it.
I was walking. I work at a shooting range, so they attract a lot of people who like country music, right? That's that kind of
Oh
crowd.
boy, do they.
So we have speakers outside of the pavilion thing where we do stuff, and there was this country song. I put the very loose terms, country song, and he said something. The guy that was singing said something about he's got mud on his boots, but he still wanted to take the girl out dancing or something like that. And then he
Mm-hmm.
said again, yeah, but I got some mud on my tires, but I still want to take you places or something. And it just made me borderline irate by what was happening on to my ears. It was awful. And so my skip is any pop country radio quote unquote music that has been on the airwaves for the past 15 years. It blew a fuse, and I can't stand it. and
It's
I don't
horrible.
I don't and I can't even hardly understand why other people would like it. I mean, I can because I get that it brings some nostalgia, whatever,
It's
small town.
but it's not like it's music for people who take everything at face value. Do you
It
know what
was
I mean?
just and yeah, and it reminded me of another song that I heard where the guy says, "Chew tobacco, chew tobacco, chew tobacco, spit."
Oh my God, I heard that song the other night.
And I honestly thought that that wasn't a real song, that someone was just it's like an SNL parody,
I thought so too. I was
but
like,
that was like a
it
real
was on the radio, and I thought
legit song that a
maybe
human actually sang on purpose.
someone
And
wrote that. Somebody wrote that. Somebody debased themselves enough
well,
to
see,
write that and sell it.
even then, that doesn't bother me that much because that's probably just some random guy in Hollywood or New York or somewhere crazy, and they just say, "I know I can make a bunch of money, and I
If I
know those
write this
kids down
terrible
south
song.
will love this song." And he says, "What is the most redneck shit that I can write?" And he's like, "Oh, they like to dip. Let's write a song about that." And I can almost understand that, but then a human person willingly actually saying those words, and that it makes me just so upset.
Irate.
And so that's my skip. Don't ever listen to that shit ever. So maybe one day we can get back to not listening to that type of country on the radio.
It's so sad what country music has become. It
It's
really
awful, man.
is.
Like it's like I said, like it's like 15, almost borderline 20 years.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a little fad. Like
No,
rock
it's
kind of
this
goes
is
through its thing on the radio. Now we're kind of getting into like the Lumineer,
but like
whatever.
this is where country music is at, and this is where
And
it's gonna stay.
it's been there for a while.
I miss like the 90s country. I actually really liked a lot of that.
Oh man, it's crazy. I don't know. It mind blowing. So that's my skip.
It's
That
awful.
generic bullshit. Don't listen to it.
Well, I
Sorry.
won't.
I'll stop yelling.
No, that's okay. I share your sentiment, and it's totally fine.
All right, your turn.
I'm sorry that had to happen to you.
It put me in a bad mood,
I
man.
know. I can tell. I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
It's awful. I'm sorry.
ridiculous.
Well, mine is actually going to be a play. So I was flipping through Hulu trying to find something to watch that didn't start with Real Housewives. And
As one tends to do.
yes, so I was looking around and they've got a lot of like documentaries and like docu-series on there. And I came across this one called Soundbreaking. And I kind of looked at it and kind of figured out what it was all about. And holy shit, started watching it, like watched the first 3 episodes and was up until like 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't turn it off. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's an 8-part TV series. And basically it's all about like I really like it because it focuses on like what happens in the recording studio with a band or an
Okay.
artist. And
Okay.
I love that. Like I feel like whenever you watch something about like a certain band or a certain performer or something, it talks a lot about, just like their entire career. And I love this because it really focuses on what happens in the recording studio, which I think is something that people who really enjoy music are very interested in. I like to know how my
Absolutely.
favorite artists make what they make that I love so much, especially like the Beatles after they stopped touring. They do a lot about the Beatles working with, I think his name is George Miller, like in the studio and like the stuff that they created after the Beatles were finally like, okay, we can't do this anymore. This isn't working for us. This isn't the music that we want to make. We want to make something totally different. We can't tour with it, so we're done. Like
Wasn't that halfway through their career too?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, was it because they kept getting like mauled and chased
Yeah,
around and
like that's
stuff?
the thing. It's Paul. In fact, they talk about it. Like Paul McCartney was like, "Yeah, I remember like leaving a show and literally being packed into a meat van
Hmm.
and like driving off the premises and just like looking at the guys and being like, we can't do this anymore."
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
crazy.
And Ringo says something about like, they can't even hear us. Like they're not even listening to what we're playing.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how frustrating that is. But yeah, like it's really incredible. Like it talks all about all of that. It goes through these different, like each episode focuses on something different. And the first one was all about the producers basically within the studio, which is really interesting. It talks about Sly Stone and
Yeah.
like all the crazy stuff that he got to do. Oh God. And then it talks about I love Rick Rubin. I love Rick Rubin. I love Rick
Everyone
Rubin.
should. Yeah.
I love Rick Rubin. So Rick Rubin, I knew that Rick Rubin basically was um responsible for bringing back Johnny Cash in the like the late 90s,
Mhm.
and to like listen to him talk about it was just wonderful. And like to look to like hear him say, like, well, I just it broke my heart to see him playing in this like dinner theater in Orange County, this man who was just so much bigger than all of this. And like his daughter comes on and talks about like, yeah, it was the first time I had really seen my dad passionate about what he did in a really long time. And that just, I love that. Like it was very incredible to watch. They, like I said, they do a whole thing about George Martin and his work with the Beatles. And they talk about George Martin finally convincing them to put strings on their songs, because apparently they were very anti. They're like, no, 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 that's for like Mozart and like Tchaikovsky, and we're not about that. And so apparently when they came to him with Eleanor Rigby, he was like, no, he's like, I just kept telling him like, this is a song that's like dying for strings. It needs strings. Just like, let me show you. And they go through like each layer of the sound on that song. And I literally rewound it and like played it like 4 times because I just love it. So, but yeah, they talk about Phil Spector and all the stuff that he did with his like just the incredible like tapestry of like sound that he made, that just like was in your face when you listened to what he was putting out there. Just really, really interesting. That was the first episode. The next one like talks about like what was happening with like the recording equipment and how that was really like just making music completely different. In fact, they talk a little bit about Boston, which I will say this, I've had an issue with Boston for the last like 5 years of my life. I
Why?
understand, because it sounds so perfect and it drives me crazy.
Oh, because they know how to play their instruments
Shut up.
and didn't distort their sound, really?
Anyway,
How
so
dare
they
they?
talk about, but like it made me appreciate Boston a little bit more. Just really, really good. Oh, plus they talk about the Beach Boys. I love the Beach Boys. Um,
Yeah, they talk about how Boston's first album they made in like 2 days
yeah,
in some dude's basement, and
that's
it's one of the
crazy.
greatest albums ever.
It's crazy. You get to watch Lindsey Buckingham be way too serious about what he's doing while everybody else in Fleetwood Mac is like, okay, dude, whatever. So
Yeah, I was surprised anyone was serious in Fleetwood Mac.
Stevie wasn't. And that's
I'm
why I
just trying
love
to
her.
hang out and have a good time,
He
right?
was like, I'm adorable. I'm the White Witch. Give me a tambourine. Let's do this. So
The White Witch. Wow.
yeah, that's what she is. She's the White Witch. Anyway,
Oh,
but the one that I'm on now is the third episode, and it's all about like vocals. Oh, they talk all about Amy Winehouse, and oh my God. So really, really good. Great series. I'm really excited to keep working with it and keep watching it and see what else comes of it. But just really interesting. If you are at all interested in like what all truly goes into making the music that you listen to, I would recommend it. Otherwise, you might find it a little bit tedious and boring. But I don't think it's boring. I think it's really, really good, and I think it's really interesting. So check it out. It's pretty great.
there you go.
So, whew, so wonderful. Anyway,
Apparently.
I can't think about it for too long. I love it. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. The next thing we need to do is assign each other some new homework.
Yeah.
So each week or each episode, we're basically going to assign each other either it can be a new song, it could be a new artist, it can be a new album, whatever, for
Yep.
the other person to listen to. And then again, we'll come back and kind of
Talk about it.
talk about it. And you at home are totally welcome to play along and listen to these albums too and send us some feedback. So go ahead. Do
Uh,
your worst?
Well, I know you've heard songs from this band, and I'm pretty sure you like them. A Perfect Circle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. So my homework for you is to listen to 13th Step by a Perfect Circle. It is their second studio album and is released in '03.
why?
Why? Why do I
Oh,
want you to listen to this album?
yes.
Because I like a Perfect Circle, and this is their best album.
Okay. All right, I trust
Maybe
you. We'll do
why?
this.
Should there be a reason why we should listen to it?
No.
But
All
yeah,
right.
so it's a really good album. Um, it's not near as progressive and crazy, so just
Oh, are you trying to
keep your
give me
panties
a
on. You're
right.
fine.
All right.
So yeah, 13th Step by A Perfect
By
Circle.
a perfect circle. Okay,
Yep.
I can do that.
And it's, the lead singer is the same guy from Tool, but it's not Tool.
Uh,
So I'm just trying to, slowly introduce you
I
to
like that you're
Tool.
just like trying to like get ahead of that because you know that's gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah, I know.
All
So
right.
that's what it is. What do you have for me?
All right. Well, you kind of ruined it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
But I actually wanted to assign you Channel Orange by Frank Ocean
Ugh, why?
because it's really good and I genuinely think you're gonna like it.
Hmm.
I think that it is inventive enough that even if it's not your cup of tea necessarily, I think that you will really appreciate it and enjoy it.
So what's it called again?
Channel Orange.
Chanel
No, Channel.
Orange.
No, Orange.
Channel Orange by Mr. or
Francis Ocean.
Sir
Sir Francis Ocean.
Francis Ocean.
Sir
Okay.
Francis Ocean.
Cool. I can't wait. No, like I said, I honestly don't know anything about this person. Couldn't tell you if I've ever listened to a song by them
Do a
or
little
him.
research. I would recommend doing a little research. He's a really talented dude, man. He's
I
just a
know that
very
the internet went ape shit when they
blonde
knew
came out.
his album came out.
Yeah, because we
So
were waiting forever and he was like, yeah,
apparently,
2014. And we were like, great.
yeah, but I have no sympathy for people who are waiting for an
Yeah,
album.
okay,
So
whatever.
yeah, I this will be new territory. Can't wait.
Nerd.
And I would love to listen to a cool version of Drake. That sounds fun.
For real, like that's what I feel like he is though. Like he's kind of what I think Drake wants to be, but Aubrey just can't hit that mark. He just
So
keeps
is I
swinging
guess
a miss.
he's like R&B, I guess, rappy R&B.
A little bit of rap, but it's mostly just like this album. I feel like is pretty straightforward R&B. Well, it's not
Okay.
straightforward at all, but it's R&B.
Okay, cool.
So plus, God, his voice is so good.
Well, there you go.
So I am though. I'm actually very interested to kind of see what you say and what you think. So it'll be interesting.
Cool.
But well, that about wraps it up for us over here.
Yep.
Not too shabby, I think, for our second go around. What do you think, Parker?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. All right. Well, I mean, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So, Mr. Andrew Parker, where can everybody find you on the internet?
I have a Facebook.
He's not going to add you though, so I don't know why you insist on putting that out there every time.
Oh, well, why do you keep asking?
Because that's what we do. Basically, if you want to reach Parker, you can find him at the epicallygeeky.com website, where you can also find me as well. You can also find me on Twitter and on Instagram at It's a Laney Bird. Give us a shout. Check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Leave us a comment. Let us know what your favorite albums are. Let us know if there's any topics or anything you'd like to hear on the show. Maybe you've got homework that you want to assign us. We're totally down for that.
Ooh, that'd
So
be kind of
give
cool.
us, yeah, right? So definitely let us know. Give us a little shout. Give us a rating if you want to. We're fine with that. That won't hurt our feelings at all as long as you're not too mean.
Yeah, sure.
So for Parker and myself, we'll catch you guys later. Y'all have a good night.
Goodbye.
All right. And we'll fade out there. And then we need to do a show card.
Okay, so what do we do?
So basically, we'll just come in and we'll intro and just say, on this week's episode of Epic Rhythm and Brews, we discuss our top 3 favorite albums of all time. Lainey can't make up her mind. And we assign each other some new homework. And Lainey grumbles about it the entire time.
Perfect. So are you going to say all that?
Apparently.
Well, what do you want me to say?
I don't know. I don't know. All right, cool. So I guess pipe down and I'll do this really fast.
I'm right here. If you want to throw something at me, I'll be right here.
All right, perfect.
Do this shit on the fly, yo.
I'll do this shit on the fly. All right. All right, on this week's episode of Epic Rhythm and Brews, Parker and I discuss our top 3 favorite albums. Spoiler alert, one of ours is the same. Go figure. We talk a little bit about our homework from the week before. I get to shock Parker with my opinion of the album that he gave me. And we assign each other some new homework, and I grumble about it the entire time. So come check it out, and we'll... I don't know how to end this.
I don't know. What do you...
I don't know how to end it.
You just end it there.
Oh, I could just end it there. No, that's stupid. I should do it again. Okay, how do I end this? Molly, get out of my face.
I don't know. I mean, what else did you need to say? Just end it at the end. I don't know.
All right, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, just end it just somewhere in between of us talking to each other, because that's basically what we do in the show anyway.
That's true. Okay, I'm going to start.